Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. At this time, I would like to ask everyone who is able to stand and join us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I will now call our meeting to order. At this time, if you haven't already, please silence your cell phones. For those of you who do not have a copy of the agenda or who are attending for the very first time, we will address cases that are first on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by the professionals from various departments in the county and to which there is no known opposition at this time. We have discussed these in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we do not anticipate any further discussion is needed for a decision. So as we go forward, the County Zoning Division Manager, Mr. John Peterson, will read each case into record. Mr. Peterson will ask that you raise your hand as your case is called to signify that you are present. If you are here in opposition to a case that is currently on consent, Mr. Peterson will ask you to identify yourself as that case is read into the record. We will then pull that case off of consent and hear it as part of our regular case agenda. We will then vote on all of these cases on consent at one time. Once we have approved the cases on consent, we will move forward with our regular case agenda. With that, Mr. Peterson, please get us started.
Sure. There's one case on today's agenda which has been continued to a future date. That's variance case V36 of 2026, Zachy Merchant. This case was continued until the August 12, 2026 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V36 of 2026 will not be heard today. And with that, Madam Chair and Board, I'm ready to start the consent agenda. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for May 13, 2026. First case on consent is variance case V49. David Vidal Castillo requests a variance to 1, reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 8 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. And number 2, reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 6 feet adjacent to the western property line in land lot 422 and 443 of the 16th district. The property is located on the north side of Sue Holden Circle, west of Hilltop Drive. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to site plan review comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V49? Okay, let the record show there is no one opposed. Variance case V51, Mark Booker requests a variance to 1, reduce the front setback from required 35 feet to 16 feet. Number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 305 square foot shed, number 1, for required 10 feet to 1 foot adjacent to the western property line. Number 3, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 215 square foot shed, number 2, from required 10 feet to 0 feet adjacent to the western property line. And number 4, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 56 square foot shed, number 3, required 5 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the northwestern property line in land lot 371 of the 17th district. The property is located on the north side of Mosley Drive, north of Benson Avenue. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V51? Let the record show there is no one here opposed. Variance case V52, Paola Castillo requests a variance to 1, allow an accessory structure, which is an existing 120 square foot shed to be located on the side of the principal building. Number 2, allow an accessory structure, which is an existing 120 square foot shed to be located close to the road than the principal building. Number 3, allow an accessory structure, which is an existing 840 square foot shed and awning, to be located on the side of the principal building. Number 4, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 840 square foot shed and awning from required 100 feet to 11 feet adjacent to the southern property line, 10 feet adjacent to the western property line, and 67 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. Number 5, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 690 square foot playground area from required 100 feet to 7 feet adjacent to the western property line, 42 feet adjacent to the southern property line, and 90 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. And number 6, allow parking and/or maneuvering on a non-hardened surface, which is gravel, in land lot 210 and 235 of the 19th district. The property is located on the southwestern corner of Midway Road and Luther Wood Terrace. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the accessory structures. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case at V52? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case at V53, Coletta Kadib requests a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed 442 square foot carport, required 12 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the southwestern property line in land lot 202 of the 20th district. The property is located on the northwest side of Pine Mountain Road, north of Stylesboro Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V53? One opposed? Okay, Madam Chair and Board, we have one opposed to variance case V53. So we'll pull 53 off the consent and put it in its regular order. Okay, variance case of V54, Christy Morea requests a variance to 1, reduce the rear setback from required 30 feet to 14 feet. Number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an approximately 68 square foot existing treehouse, required 5 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the southern property line. Number 3, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an approximately existing 35 square foot plastic shed, from required 5 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the southern property line. And number 4, increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 35% to 57% in land lot 846 of the 16th district. The property is located on the south side of Newberry Court, east of Oakmore Place. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to 1, development and inspections comments and recommendations, and number 2, stormwater management comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicants are here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V54? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V55, Marcus Lee McLeroy. Correct. Thank you. Request a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed 288 square foot shed from required 35 feet to 6 feet, adjacent to the southern and eastern property lines in land lot 721 of the 17th district. The property is located on the south side of Friedale Road, west of Robin Lane. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval. The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V55? Okay, let the record show there is no one opposed to variance case V55. Next case is variance case V56, Joel Sullivan requests a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed approximately 1,374 square foot garage, required 100 feet to 18 feet adjacent to the western property line, 36 feet adjacent to the northern property line, and 75 feet adjacent to the eastern property line. And number 2, allow parking and/or maneuvering on a non-hardened surface, which is gravel, in land lot 307 of the 20th district. The property is located on the north side of Nichols Road, east of Antioch Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the accessory structure. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V56? Okay, let the record show there's no one here opposed to the variance case of V56. Variance case V58, Morgan and Peggy McNeil request a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed 625 square foot pool house, required 35 feet to 18 feet, adjacent to the southern property line in land lot 253 of the 20th District. The property is located at the terminus of Hazeltine Lane. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the accessory structure. Is the applicant present? The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V58? Okay, we have one. Okay, we have one opposed, Madam Chair and Board, so we'll pull V58 off the consent agenda also and put it in its regular order. All right, next case is variance case V59. Ron Lester requests a variance to, one, allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed 1,054 square foot garage to be located at the front of the principal building. And number two, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed 1,054 square foot garage from required 100 feet to 21 feet adjacent to the southern property line, 78 feet adjacent to the northern property line, and 79 feet adjacent to the western property line in land lot 203 of the 20th District. The property is located on the east side of Schillings Road, south of Pine Mountain Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number one, no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the accessory structure. Number two, stormwater management comments and recommendations. And number three, traffic comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V59? All right, let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V60, Kennesaw Auto Investments LLC, request a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from required 80% to 89% in land lots 208 and 209 of the 20th District. The property is located at the northern corner of Roberts Boulevard and Ernest Barrett Parkway, and on the south side of Auto Park Drive. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to Fire Department comments and recommendations. And number two, Stormwater Management Division comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V60? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed to variance case V60. Next case is variance case V61. Jesse Battaglia requests a variance to, one, allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed 570 square foot garage, number one, to be located at the front of and to the side of the principal building. Number two, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing approximately 1,800 square foot garage, number two, from required 100 feet to 65 feet adjacent to the southern property line. And number three, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing approximately 690 square foot garage, number three, from 100 feet to 20 feet adjacent to the southern property line in land lot 264 of the 20th District. The property is located on the east side of Mars Hill Road, north of Hadaway Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to no residential dwelling use or commercial use of the accessory structure. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V61? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed to variance case V61. Next case is variance case V62, Iglesia del Dios Vivo Columna y Apoyo de la Verdad La Luz del Mundo, Inc. Request a variance to, one, reduce the setbacks for a church within a residential district, require 50 feet to 9 feet, adjacent to the northern property line, 21 feet adjacent to the western property line, and 38 feet adjacent to the southern property line. And number two, waive the 50-foot landscape buffer required for a church within a residential zoning district to the encroachment shown on the submitted site plan in land lot 701 of the 19th District. The property is located on the west side of Austell Road, north of Pear Road. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to Fire Department comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V62? We got three. So we have three opposed, so we'll put that one on in the regular order also. Madam Chair and Board. 62. Okay, last case on consent is variance case V63, Scott J. Tenger request a variance to reduce the major side setback from required 35 feet to 16 feet. And number 2, allow parking and maneuvering on a non-hardened surface, which is gravel, in land lot 865 and 866 of the 17th district. The property is located on the northeast intersection of Hurststone Lane and Hurststone Court. The Board of Zoning Appeals recommends approval, subject to 1, stormwater management comments and recommendations, and number 2, traffic comments and recommendations. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V63? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed to variance case V63. And that completes the consent agenda, Madam Chair and Board, with V53, V58, and V62 being taken off consent.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns from the board for any of these on consent?
Yes.
Commissioner Valline?
First, just a question for Mr. Peterson first, specific to a couple in my district, V52 and V56. In each case, if I understand it, there's to be a non-hardened surface allowed. And my recollection is in the past, frequently the DOT has required there be a 25-foot apron that is hardened. Do you know whether the DOT weighed in on that here, or was that deemed not necessary here?
All right, the first case was V52.
Yes, sir.
Let me take a look here. DOT did have one comment that states that this request will not have an adverse impact on the transportation network.
Okay. So can I just get a head nod from DOT? Is there any need for the typical apron requirement on either of these, or you folks good with it as is? This one.
And there's already an apron there, Commissioner Blouin. The gravel area is kind of up on the property.
Okay, thank you. So that's on 52?
Yes.
Okay, so we're good there. Can I just get you to check on 56 while I read something else in? I had a conversation yesterday with the applicant on V59, and based upon stormwater comments, he and I agreed it would be appropriate to include some specifics. I subsequently offered to recuse myself if preferred, but the applicant was fine with my staying involved, and the applicant has proposed and agreed to these superseding conditions. Number 1, stormwater runoff is to be offset by installation of a Cultec water capture system under so much of the driveway that leads to and adjoins the garage as determined necessary by Cobb stormwater staff. Number 2, during all land clearing and construction periods, applicant owner must install and maintain 2 rows of wire-backed silt fence lined with hay bales along the southern property line from the right of way to the location of the storm sewer easement as shown in the application for V59 in order to mitigate water runoff and prevent mud discharge both generally and specifically as relates to 2118 Shillings Chase Drive. During all land disturbance and construction activities on the subject property, the landscaping in the southernmost 10 feet of the subject property is to remain undisturbed so as to mitigate runoff. Number 4, the garage doors on the new structure are to face north and not towards Shillings Road. Number 5, the garage shall have hardy plank siding. Number 6, no portion of the garage shall be used as a separate living unit, and the air-conditioned portion of the new garage shall be used solely for a home office type use. Number 7, no other commercial use of the subject property is allowed. So in the case of any conflict between staff comments and these specific conditions are to control, and I offer that as an amendment to the consent agenda respecting only V59. And other than that, my motion is that the remaining, I need to check in with Wilson on that, but then I can make my final motion. Yes, sir. Oh, no, not 59. That's fine. Yes, sir. No, let's see. 56. We've already covered 52, I think. That already had an apron. And if this is just like if they're connecting to an existing driveway or something, that's fine.
Oh, right, and it's off the right of way.
Okay, okay, thank you. So it's fine as is? No need for that? I just wanted to clarify, because I'd heard in the past. So that is my motion with those additional stipulations regarding V59, no changes to any others. And with that, I move to that we approve the consent agenda as amended by the deletion of the cases where opposition appeared today.
We have a motion for consent, or for approval of the consent agenda with stipulations and condition. Is there a need for discussion and/or a second?
Second.
Second. Call to question. Second from Commissioner Russell. And the consent agenda with the amendments and stipulations in tow passes 5-0. For those of you whose case was on consent, you are now free to go if you'd like. If you do so, please do so quickly and quietly so that we can proceed with our next and regular case agenda. Thank you so much for coming. All right, for those of you who remain, we are now ready to proceed with our regular case agenda. Our procedure here is that Mr. Peterson will read a case into the record. The applicant and/or any replicant of the applicant who wishes to speak will be asked to come forward to be sworn in. Likewise, anyone wishing to speak in opposition or support will be asked to come forward to be sworn in as well. The applicant and the opposition will each have a total of 10 minutes to present their case, regardless of the number of individuals speaking for either side. All testimony must be given from the podium to my right, where full AV capabilities are available. Please be sure to speak into the mic so that we can hear you clearly. And then following the presentations, members of the board may ask questions directed at either party. Please note, once comments from all parties have concluded and the public hearing has formally closed, no further comments will be permitted unless specifically requested by a member of the board. If you are called upon, you will be asked to return to the podium to respond. With that, Mr. Peterson, would you please get us ready for our first case?
Sure. Okay, first case we're going to hear today is variance case V13 of 2026. Gary Bryant Gilmore requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage, required 40%, per variance case V170 of 2015 to 61%. Number 2, reduce the rear setback required 30 feet to 13 feet. Number 3, reduce the front setback required 25 feet to 23 feet. Number 4, reduce the setback for an outdoor fireplace from 5 feet to 0 feet in land lot 23 of the 16th district. The property is located at the terminus of Canopy Drive. Is the applicant present? Okay, applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case at V13? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in to present their case?
Good afternoon. Thank you. If you would state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
My name is Gary Gilmore. I am the applicant for variance 13. I'm representing my clients, Shelley and Robert Slimp. I am here to, this case was placed on hold, so I want to pull up a few things first and then I'll get started. Good afternoon. Thank you again for your time and consideration regarding the variance request for project located at 5037 Canopy Drive. For additional context, the scope of this project includes a garage addition, additional living space added to the rear of the home, and a patio extension beyond the proposed living addition, along with related site improvements. During the previous hearing, the board requested that we address the concerns related to the encroachment near the property line, provided an update survey for clarification of the affected areas, and worked with Mr. Andrew Heath and the Stormwater Management Division to develop additional measures aimed at reducing stormwater runoff and mitigating the impact of the impervious surface percentage before returning for further consideration. Since the last hearing, the homeowner's attorney has engaged legal counsel for the Cobb County School District regarding the area in question and provided clarification regarding the existing conditions near the rear property line. In addition, we have obtained before and after drone footage of the area identified by the board as hardscape encroachment onto the school property. The video helps clarify that the area in question was not entirely hardscape as originally perceived. The improvements extending beyond the property line were a limited number of stone pavers, while the majority of the area consists of existing grass, bushes, trees, and landscaped areas that naturally assist with absorbing and slowing stormwater runoff. As requested by the board, the storm pavers located outside of the property line have been removed. The remaining areas located on Cobb County School property now consist primarily of natural, landscaped, and vegetated areas. Following the direction provided at the hearing, we also worked with Mr. Andrew Heath and the Stormwater Management Division to develop additional solutions focused on reducing stormwater runoff and improving on-site infiltration throughout the property. The project also includes a proposed underground rainwater collection and infiltration system designed to capture runoff from roof drains, downspouts, patio drains, and yard drains, and direct that water into a rainwater cistern system for temporary storage and controlled infiltration. The current plans include a proposed 2,479-gallon rainwater cistern to assist in managing stormwater runoff on the property. Additional drainage infrastructure, collection systems, and infiltration methods are also being incorporated throughout the site to help slow, capture, and manage rainwater runoff before it leaves the property. Existing vegetation and landscape buffers will remain wherever possible to continue assisting with runoff reduction and site stabilization. Our goal is not only to address the impervious surface concerns raised by the board, but also improve how the property functions during storm events by slowing, collecting, filtering, and infiltrating water on site in a responsible manner. We appreciate the board's continued consideration as we work through the requested modifications and stormwater improvements for this project. Last time I was here, the board asked for a survey showing the impervious surface percentage. Are you able to zoom in on that? To show that percentage at all, down in the right corner. So as requested, we have a breakdown of the impervious percentage on the survey. Okay. Yes, ma'am. I didn't want to move on until you saw what you needed to see. Can we go to the video footage? So the first one would be before. So this first one, so last time I was here, the video was, or the picture that was shown was kind of yellow with the property line. So from that, we determined it might have been hard to tell what exactly was there. So I went and took drone footage to give us actual color footage to show that the hardscape is actually the stone pavers that you see right there. The rest of the area around the top is vegetation, is trees and bushes. So we wanted to make sure that we pointed that out. If you can fast forward maybe the 50-second mark. So right there, 52nd. Yep, you see the retention pond, that's right back behind the house. As I scroll up, that rooftop is the school district to kind of give you guys an idea of how far away the school is and where the property line is compared to the retention pond back there. So I'll let you And then if we want to go to the next video. The next video is going to show you the after picture with us showing a highlight, a line that we pulled from each survey marker to show the property line and then show the pavers that we pulled. So you'll see my yellow string there I pulled across to demonstrate the property line. You'll see the pavers that got removed. Everything else is trees and bushes back there. And so I believe that was what was requested by us, along with getting with the Stormwater Division to reduce the mitigation on the runoff.
You still have almost 3 minutes, over 3 minutes remaining. Is there anything else you want to share?
Okay. I believe that's going to be it for right now, if you all have any other questions.
All right, thank you so much. Since this is in District 3 and there is an opposition, if you can remain, I'm sure our District 3 Commissioner has questions.
All right. What resolution have you come to with the school board?
As far as the school board goes, they are aware of our project. As far as what we had discussed, they are aware. And you told me that I had to jack up anything that was in that area. And so that's what we did.
But do they know what you've done? Are they okay with what's been done?
They are. As far as what we've done so far, they're aware of what's going on. And so we've removed the stones out of the area, as we talked about.
Okay. I just got a text from the school board attorney, and the text is the homeowners do not have the school district's consent. So I don't know exactly what that means, so I was
Okay.
hoping you could clarify.
Okay. Well, at that point, I'm going to ask Mr. Slimp to step up. He can speak on that behalf.
So we worked with the school board's attorney, and they asked us the same thing y'all did, is to remove the stones that were in their property. That was their only exception, was the stones, pavers, hardscape.
They didn't want you to put up a fence or anything because your yard is still,
No, we did not actually hear from the board, we heard from the attorney, and so they just, their remark was just to remove the stones.
okay, do you have anything from them you could send me?
I do not.
Anybody have any questions?
Is it possible we could just hold this for, we have some other cases, maybe they could step outside and try to get like an email from the school board attorney or something?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
So
I think
Step
just
out for a
I
few
think
minutes
just for
and then-
clarity, the request is to step out and contact the attorney and at least provide some clarification with what you were told, what you completed, so that we can at least find some balance there.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Peterson, we're ready for our next case. Do we need to make a motion to hear that later, or we can just put it in another order since we started? Are we okay?
The appropriate motion to be laid on the table, that way you can bring it back up at the end, at some point in today's meeting. To
Okay.
hold it would be a different measure, we're not continuing it, so I don't know if it's required, but if for just record keeping, if we want to have a motion to lay it on the table, and then later, we'll pull it back off the table.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to lay it on the table, please.
Move to lay it on the table until later in the meeting.
And may I have a
Second.
second? Second by Commissioner Swanson. Call to question. And it passes 5-0. Next case, Mr. Peterson.
Okay, next case is variance case V50. Carl S. Joseph requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from required 40% to 83.6%. And number 2, reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is an existing 231 square foot canopy from required 20 feet to 1 foot adjacent to the northeastern property line in land lot 724 of the 16th district. The property is located on the north side of Shiloh Valley Trail, east of Shiloh Valley Circle. Is the applicant present? Okay, let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V50? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Good afternoon. If you will, state your name and then begin your testimony.
Good afternoon. I'm Carl Joseph. I'm not a professional builder, so I don't have a fancy presentation at all.
Speak into the mic a little bit more for us.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I guess to start out, I got this home, I think, about 13 years ago, a foreclosure home where it was bank-owned, and the property perimeter and a lot of the backyard was not visible at the time, and we weren't able to safely traverse and get down there, which is what the realtor told me. Upon moving in and working outside of the house and getting to the point where I could see and work on the yard or even get down to the back of the yard, there was a fence there, I think it was like 10 feet away from the back door. So the majority of the yard was not even visible. All you could see were weeds and brush that were probably over 6 feet tall. So by the time that I actually got to that point, I found out that I was actually just on a hill, which is not information that was available at all through the bank. Eventually, we kind of cleared it out, got professionals to come in, move out, get the fence out, and then started trying to figure out what to do with the yard. And what ended up happening is we said, okay, well, let's try to flatten it out, because there was just no way to even traverse it at all, because it was literally a hill. I think the surveyor, from what the survey I have here, it was about 26 feet drop from the front to the actual back of the yard. So we basically went and started trying to see if we can just get someone to grade the lower piece of it and see what that would do. And what I read when I did do my due diligence, which I don't think I did enough because I didn't realize that there were limits to impervious surfaces, is I couldn't just grade that lower piece, because then I would have, I guess, a wall that'd be 5 or 6 feet, which then would require engineering and a lot more cost and work. So then we decided to then go and do sort of a 2-tier, kind of smaller wall, and then have 2 areas to where we can have sort of a backyard. And then upon looking into more work to be done to try to utilize that, because now you kind of have this big drop, but also too, you have nowhere to get lawnmowers or anything back there. The 2-3 companies I hired all quit after like a few months. So we started looking into trying to pave, which was super expensive, way more than what the house was worth at the time. And over the years, as we kind of cleared it out little by little and got all that dirt out, because it's all moving uphill, found out that the only reasonable or cost-effective way of doing it is to just add concrete and just pave it, because there's just no way to get up and down. And every time it rained, all the water would just run down the hill and take layers of sediment down with it. So every few months, so you'd walk and you're just slipping on rocks, because the rocks just kept popping up as the sediment was getting pulled down to the backyard. So eventually we decided, okay, let's at least pave the sides. So we paved the sides, and then and that's basically just a little walkway around the front, and then a walkway towards the sides. At the time, and until recently, I did not know that my deck also counted as an impervious surface, because water does run through it, but did not know that that counted as impervious. So we decided the only cost-effective thing to do is just to make it a big patio, because just we can't maintain it, and nobody wants to carry mowers up and down. Thought about trying to get a ramp done, couldn't do that either, because it would take up 1/3 of the space, and then you can't even really utilize the yard. So went with just basic steps to get down and got it paved. And sometime last fall or winter, one of the inspectors walked by and kind of questioned me about it, and I just told him what I did, and I showed it to him, and then that's when he told me that I was beyond the allowable impervious surfaces. So I said, okay, well, tell me what I need to do to go through the process, and he said to come here. And, you know, and I did note to him that, you know, the way that our horrible builder built our homes, both of my neighbors' yards also drain into my yard, which made it even worse. So as we did the fence, we put, you know, a couple of rows of cinder block just to kind of hold the fence up and stop some of the water. Nothing I've done, you know, has affected my neighbors' yards. And actually, one of them actually asked me to give them some of the dirt to kind of help them a little bit, but nobody has a usable yard on my strip of land at all. They've all pretty much just abandoned it because there's no way to traverse up and down safely. So as of now, I'm the only one that can even go into the backyard for at least 8 homes going down the strip. What I've done has not increased the stormwater drainage at all because the water was already draining. The only difference is it's not taking sediment down with it. And I even have trench drains at the end of my lower patio that actually takes the water down and dumps it back down into the drain area, which I think is like I'm behind I-75. So I think it's about 150 to 200 feet, and I think it goes like a quarter mile down the other way. So it does not flood. There's no visible water that ever shows at any point in time when it rains or any other, you know, weather event happens. So I just did not know that there were any requirements in regards to that. I did research my deck and my fencing, did not find anything on impervious surfaces, so I did not know that I was violating any rules. So that's where I'm at.
You still have 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Are you finished with your testimony, or you have more that you would like to share?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, this does reside in District 2, so I'll turn it over to Commissioner Swanson to start the discussion.
I have a few questions. So you're increasing the impervious from 40% to 83, which is pretty significant. We can get back to that. But you have also a setback for an accessory structure, which is a 231 square foot canopy.
Yeah, I have a 12 by 20 canopy. It's just an aluminum one. It's not even actually set down to the ground, but it does sit there towards the edge of the patio.
Okay. So it's not a permanent structure?
No, it's not. It's not even bolted down. It's just aluminum built and it just sits back there.
So when you put in all this concrete work and brought in the various things that you were discussing, did you ever get a permit? Did you do the work yourself, or did you have a professional company come in to do the work?
No, I didn't do it. No, I actually got quotes from 3 or 4 licensed companies who all do work in our area. And one of the first things I asked is, hey, is there any permitting or anything required for this? And they said, no, for driveways and patio work, there is not. And that's where I messed up, because I probably should have came down here.
Right. Because it's pretty extensive how much of the impervious that you've covered. And I know that you've had some issues with the flooding, but 83 is pretty high. So the other is that you're also encroaching in the back. You've encroached into a 20-foot access easement, and it's onto a neighbor's property in the back. And so we can't approve variances when the variance is going into another property. So so we can address that. I understand your issues, and I wish that you didn't have to come forward in order to meet with our stormwater manager, because he could help you. So what I would like to do is you definitely have to remove this canopy, because I can't go forward if that isn't removed.
The canopy?
The 231 square foot canopy, you have to, that has to come out of the setback in the other person's property. That has to come out.
Okay.
And then the walls and steps and paving, it also extends into the 20-foot setback. So what I would do is I would look closely at where that 20-foot setback, and everything has to be removed out of there. So, so I guess I'm just going to go forward and tell you what needs to be done. It's going to be added to your variance. So I don't have an issue approving it, but there's going to be a lot of stipulations. And so the stipulation is that, again, the removal of the 231 square foot canopy, and the walls, step, and paving that extend into the 20-foot access easement and onto the neighboring property at 1972 Shiloh Valley Trail, that all has to be removed. And then I would like to see your impervious come down from 83.6% to 50%, which is still over the 40%, and that you work with our stormwater manager, and he can work ways in which what to remove, but also give you systems that would help the issues that you're dealing with water runoff. So instead of covering it up more, it may be dry wells. He has a variety of things that he does very well at how to capture the water so it's not running down your property. So that's basically, like, I think it's good in that you're removing a lot of the impervious surface, and I think it's good in that you're getting out of another person's property, and I think it will help you greatly to work with stormwater management. So that's my motion.
We have a motion for approval with conditions.
Second
Is there
for-
a second?
Second for discussion.
Second with purposes of discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner Blouin.
But before discussion, can I pose a question to the applicant at this time?
Please do.
Okay, so if we can go back to the picture we just had up, the visual. So right near where it says RM12 to the upper right, did you plant all those trees back there?
Yeah, I did right when I planted some of them.
Okay.
To kind of finish the line, because we didn't have that sound barrier at the time. And it was completely open to 75 when I first got it. So we planted a bunch of little seedlings to kind of finish filling it up way back then.
Okay.
That's before my survey or any of that.
And then are you able to pull back just a bit on this and show us the larger area? Show us how far away the nearest unit is? And so there's a stream buffer before we get to the RM12. Have you ever contacted the owner of that property to ask for permission to maintain that tree line there at all?
The owner of that property, is it the Shiloh?
Whoever owns that apartment complex. I have no idea who that is, but.
No, I didn't know that was their property at the time.
Okay. All right. And is this the concept floated to you by the board member for District 2? Is this something that interests you to work to mitigate back to 50%?
Yeah, no, definitely. The only thing is too, and I didn't realize I was encroaching on that neighbor's property until afterwards. So I had already started making plans to at least get the concrete vendor to come and cut that out so we can shift everything over. So I found that out afterwards.
I don't see where it's hurting them at all. I mean, I can imagine there's some remote possibility it could impact some view shed. I can't tell the topo from this, but I imagine, generally speaking, things go downhill to a creek, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine where, if they are thinking logically, they would have a problem with it, but I would love to see you know.
Yeah, no, I don't think they can, because again, they can't even walk back there, but I still wanted to straighten it out once I saw it. So I'm aware of that. I'm working on it.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. We've had some discussion. Is there any further discussion needed? All right, call to question. And I believe this is V50, passes 5-0 with conditions.
Mr. Joseph, so our stormwater manager, He's sitting at the very end, and you can discuss, you can talk to him while he's here and possibly make an appointment for you to meet with him to start the process.
Okay, would I need to do this process again and come back, or just work with him directly?
No, you just work with him, and as long as you're satisfying what all of the stipulations are, and he'll verify that, and you're fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Mr. Peterson, will you take us to our next case?
Okay. Next case is variance case V53. Coletta Kadib requests a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed 442 square foot carport from required 12 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the southwestern property line in land lot 202 of the 20th District. The property is located on the northwest side of Pine Mountain Road, north of Stylesboro Road. The applicant is present, and earlier there's one person here opposed. All those who would like to address the board, either for or against, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record and then begin your testimony.
My name is Alan Khatib.
I'm Coletta Khatib.
Good. All right. So, well, thanks for having us, and I'll try to make this quick. I don't think this is a complicated case, but my name is Alan Khatib, and we're here to respectfully request approval of a variance to our existing carport to allow it to remain in place on our property. It's entirely on our property, standing over our driveway, but it's located closer to my southwestern neighbor's property line than the current ordinance allows. It's located over an existing concrete driveway and is the only practical location for us to have it to serve its intended purpose. And because of the layout, you know, the home, the garage access, and driveway, relocating it would make it kind of functionally impractical. So the purpose that it serves is to protect the vehicles from, protect the vehicles in a covered work area and to help shield the driveway from overhanging trees across the neighbor's fence line, and avoid the debris and sap from falling onto the cars and into the property. So yeah, it's a pretty narrow request. It doesn't create any traffic or visibility issues. It's hundreds of feet from the street. It doesn't alter any residential use of the property, and it doesn't provide any meaningfully harm to the neighborhood or neighbors. We used John Addington with AQA Engineering, a professional engineer out of Duluth, to work on the site plan. And we have general contractors that helped us perform the labor of constructing the structure. And that's essentially it. I didn't think about it before now, but I have a photo just to, I don't know if you could provide it, but just give you a nice visual of what it is. And I have another photo that shows the distance from the fence and property line. But yeah, that's essentially it. There's a couple more for reference. All right. Here's just a couple more for reference. It's located in the back of the end of the driveway, and then there's one more for, yeah, just covering the vehicles. But that's it. And you want to add anything?
No.
Okay.
Does that conclude your testimony?
That's
Because you do have additional time.
That's essentially it.
Okay.
Open to questions if you have them.
All right, if you will have a seat for us, I believe that there is someone or someone's here in opposition. We'll give them the same amount of time to present their case in opposition. If you would, come on up and give us your name and share with us what you'd like.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Hewlett Norvell. I am here to appear as a representative of Sarah and Zach Buffington. They were unable to make it today, the owners of the neighboring property. They prepared a statement for me to read. However, I think some of it's probably irrelevant after what they've already said, so I'll try and skip along to what they'd already said. Let's see. As it's been said, the current setback is 12 feet. They're asking to reduce it to 5. However, the plan site does not identify the source of the property line and the information shown. The plan may be relying on GIS data, which is not suitable for determining exact property boundaries. The plan was prepared by an engineer who's not a licensed and land surveyor, and there's no way to verify the actual distance from the structure to the true property line without a boundary survey prepared by a licensed surveyor. There is no reliable way to confirm compliance or non-compliance with setback requirements. So that's one thing they were asking for. In addition, we share the driveway with the applicant, and the substantial portion of the driveway lies on our property line, with the Cobbs having an egress easement. The site plan depicts a structure exit on our property. We have not consented, nor do we consent to any construction exit, concrete without, or washout, sagging or staging or construction activity of any kind occurring on our property. This site plan also states that there's no trees greater than 18 inches in diameter within 25 feet of the construction. This statement is incorrect. There are multiple trees on our property exceeding the 18-inch diameter within 25 feet of the existing carport structure. As was stated, this is currently constructed over an existing driveway. They have concerns regarding whether the driveway provides adequate footing, whether the structure is properly anchored, and whether it complies with building and wind load requirements. Given the proximity to their property, any structure failure, especially under wind uplift forces, could pose a risk to their property and family, and create an undue burden to their property. In conclusion, the structure negatively impacts our property and impose an undue burden. We respectfully request that the board deny any variance application. Furthermore, we ask that the existing non-compliant structure be required to be removed from the setback and brought into compliance with the zoning ordinance and applicable building codes. So that was their statement. As it shows, I do have a picture from their side that does show the trees. I don't know how best to put that up. I have it on my phone. So that's just showing that they have a few trees nearby on their side of the property that's close enough to impact the structure if it were to fall. I think that's the only picture that shows the trees. It does look closer from their side compared to the other line. Or the other pictures that were shown as well. I don't believe I have anything else for for y'all to look at.
Okay, you do have additional time. Are you clear that you're good on your statement?
I believe so.
Okay, if you will have a seat for us, this does reside in District 1. Commissioner Burloin probably has a bunch of questions, but I'm not sure where he wants to start, so I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So I'm a sucker for a basketball goal, but let me go with Mr. Peterson first here. The staff's recommendation initially was for approval, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So with what conditions, if any?
There were no conditions on the consent agenda.
Okay. In the past, I noted that this group has asked staff to go out and inspect the sufficiency of a structure. Based on what we've seen, do you think that would be a reasonable thing to do in this circumstance?
Well, the chief building inspector did not have any comments for this when he reviewed it.
Are we to take that as a affirmative statement that this structure is in compliance with Cobb code or no?
I'm not really sure, Commissioner Bologna. His comment did not indicate there's any problems with the structure.
Okay, well, let me just throw it open for discussion to my fellow board members before I make a motion as to what they think would be the right thing to do in regard to the structure.
Commissioner Burloin is asking for discussion. Anyone have any thoughts or concerns?
If our building inspector's been out there and approved it, we may want to have him revisit just to be sure it's a safe, sturdy structure. But that's the only thing I can think of, because if he's already said fine on the report, I don't have a problem.
Anyone else?
Well, I would think that if the building did go out, the development inspections did go out, then they would have made a comment if there was an issue.
Okay.
Because usually the comments are, when they go out, they look at something that's fine, or then they would say, after examining it, these are the, it wasn't permitted, it's not sturdy, they would provide the information to us. At least that's what I've seen in the past.
That's the general consensus? Okay.
Yes.
Then let me go back to the opposition. If you could come back, you put the pictures up so quickly. I want to get a good look and see that you're not having to deal with some.
You're referring to the tree pictures?
The tree line, yes, sir. Is there anything I know you're not the person who lives there, you're their friend, I guess, but is there anything you would think would be beneficial in terms of enhancing the viewscape, in terms of any greenscaping? I think they have 5 feet still between the driveway and the fence, is my understanding. Would that help matters?
I think it might. So you're proposing greenscape in between the fence and the structure? Is that what
Yeah.
you're?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I think that might, one of the things that they were concerned about is future structures being included in this variance, and I wasn't sure if this variance is just for this structure alone.
It's specific.
It is the specific, okay.
All right, well, let me try if anyone else has questions, the opposition.
I just was concerned, who is the owner of this fence? Is it
fence?
the fence? Who's the owner of the fence?
I don't know that.
Would it be the applicant? Who does the fence belong to? It's the neighbor, so the fence belongs to the neighbor. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Let me go with the applicant then.
Okay.
A couple of questions.
Sir.
All right, so the idea was to maybe have you add some evergreens in the 5-foot area between the driveway and the structure, and probably extending forward for about 15 more feet along the driveway off the front of the structure.
Okay.
It could probably be done with like as few as 6, 7, let's say 7, just to cover it good. 7 6-foot hollies, for example.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think.
Miss-
What's the length of the structure?
It's, sorry, let me double check. So 28 feet.
Okay, so if, you know, just given the angle there that you're looking at, if you started at 15 feet in front,
Yeah.
right, that should provide a pretty substantial, that's something you're willing to do?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Excuse me.
yeah, certainly.
It looks, and I will ask Kim as well, it looks like from the footage I see available, I don't know that we can viably plant trees in that particular space.
Do we have some pictures of that
Yeah.
somewhere? Or
There's a-
you can go back to the overhead if nothing else.
Not that I don't disagree it's a good idea, but, you know, don't set something up for failure.
So,
The county arborist might could take a look at this, but it looks like it's really tight to healthily have healthy plants right there, and you're dealing with a high shade factor.
you have like about 5 feet, right, between the edge of the cement?
Correct. Right.
Yeah, they'll come, a couple feet usually will do, I mean, even 3 feet will do. I don't,
Can you, if you want those plantings, can he meet with the county arborist?
Yeah.
Sure.
To put what's appropriate that would fit in this situation?
sure. Yeah, you're willing to do that as well?
Okay.
Okay, so that'll be fine. You can have a seat. I'll go ahead and make my motion. My motion will be that we approve the variance as requested, subject to, were there any staff comments, John?
No.
No, okay. Subject to the requirement that a 40-foot greenscape hedge be placed in the soil between the driveway and the fence on the boundary line with the neighbor, and that the, subject also to the requirement that the applicant meet with the county arborist for further direction on that greenscape hedge.
We have a motion for approval with stipulation for V53. Is there a second? Mr. Peterson, before we ask for that
Did the
second.
board want a time limit on this to have it done by?
Thank you. Have 90 days.
90, okay.
We have a motion adding 90 days. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Swanson. Call to question. V53 is approved with conditions 5-0. Next case, Mr. Peterson.
All right, next case is variance case V57, Ashton Atlanta Residential LLC. Request a variance to reduce the impervious stream buffer from required 75 feet to 60 feet for proposed lots 182 and 183 and land lots 428, 429, 364, and 365 of the 16th district. The property is located on the south side of Chastain Road, the west side of Chastain Mills Parkway, and on the east side of I-575. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to the variance case of V57? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in?
Good afternoon. If you will start with introducing yourself and please begin when you're ready.
Hey, good afternoon. Excuse me. Bart Pierce with Ashton Woods Homes. I do have this exhibit. We'll wait for a second, though. So we respectfully appreciate you guys hearing us out on this variance application. So this is, again, lots 182 and 183 at Chastain Meadows. We are asking to encroach upon the 75-foot county impervious setback. So basically how we got here, I just want to give you a backdrop. So basically when we're working with planning and zoning, we're dealing with a zoning or a site plan. Very, kind of horizontal, one sheet of paper. We don't get into topography a whole lot, our hydrology, grading, all those things. So when we get an approved LDP plan, at that time, we get with a third-party engineer, and we, give him basically, of course, all the information, including the LDP plans, and then he takes our product that we intend to build on those lots, and he matches up our product with every lot. In this case, 336 lots. So at that point, we're able to see if we have any problems and that kind of thing. So at that time, we did find a problem on 182 and 183. So for one thing, the lot quality on the rear yard, no one wants a slope right off the back of their house. So for instance, 182, that impervious setback kind of clips the rear corner. 183, you literally step off the patio and you're down a slope. So obviously, again, we're looking at our customer, the end user, right? So of course, marketability, but then it ultimately goes to a Cobb County property owner who we want them to have, a little bit of usable space there. So we did meet with Mr. Andrew Heath and Mr. Frank Gibson, and a buffer averaging was suggested. So we went this route. So our key points are the volume runoff has not changed. The approved hydrology accounted for the rear roof, yard, and patio. We are choosing to go with a gabion wall versus a modular block wall. This gabion wall will be overseeded with grasses and creeping fig. The expanded rear yard that we'll gain from installing this gabion wall we're just adding to the pervious area. By doing this as well, we're reducing the slope, lowering the rate of runoff. The area impacted is 1,268 square feet. With the buffer averaging variance, we're compensating that area of 2,001 square feet within the development. So that's really where we're at. Again, we're adding a gabion walls on 182 and 183. These walls will be grassed. This is within the impervious setback, not the 25-foot buffer or the 50-foot buffer. 25-foot state buffer, 50-foot county buffer. So that's pretty much where we where we are with it. We just think that it's, with these two particular lots, years and years down the road, whoever owned these properties, it's going to make a lot of sense to them to have this kind of extra space and not be in a position where they have little to no backyard. All right, we'll go to the plan here. So let me get that in front of me. So this first page is kind of zoomed in on, that's our lot fit plan. That's where we're talking, where we get with our kind of third-party engineer. They match our product footprints with each lot. So you see, like for instance, 181, we have a Lancaster. That's our biggest footprint that we're going to build at Chastain Meadows. The next one on 182, which is one of the variance applications here, 182 and 183, those footprints are the Buckley. So that we had to go with basically our smallest footprint to even get it to where it possibly works. So by doing that, we're only going to build these two homes on these two lots. So we don't really have any, we don't have any play there. We're not going to, we're kind of held to those plans. So if we go to the next page, thank you. So this is our grading plan on our LDP plans. Again, it's just very important to note that all the rear roofs, patios are all accounted in the approved LDP hydrology report. And none of that's changing. And then we can go to the third page. Okay, now here is our buffer averaging space that you can see. So 182, area of impact, I definitely need to get readers, is 754 square feet. 183, the area of impact is 514 square feet. Total impacted area, 1,268 square feet. And then so if you go across where you see the orange highlighted area, that shaded area, thank you, yes, that shaded area, that's where we're giving back. Our compensation is, well over the 1,268. Total compensation area is 2,001 square feet. So, again, I just appreciate y'all's time and consideration, and be happy to answer any questions you might have.
It's almost like you planned it down to the second. You have 48 seconds left. Do you have anything else to share?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Your variance cases reside in District 2, so we'll turn it over to Commissioner Swanson for handling.
Hi. If you could have a seat for a minute, I'd like to have Mr. Heath come up, please.
Hello, Andrew Heath, Cobb Stormwater Management.
So, Mr. Heath, when we were discussing this property, you had talked about if a variance is sought to reduce the impervious stream buffer from 75 to 60 for those two proposed lots, that stormwater mitigation must be provided. So he pointed out where that mitigation would be provided. I think that you had spoke about it being pulled across several lots. So could you go into some explanation a little bit to help all of us here, me as well, to understand what by allowing them to have this variance, what impact and what can they do to help mitigate it?
Right. Yes, thank you. So overall, this development is pretty compact. It's a pretty full development. And in terms of obtaining the necessary stormwater quality measures that they developed during the LDP phase when they submitted their hydrology study, there's a variety of measures that they can use. One is like preservation of green space areas like that, and you get a credit for doing that. And so the idea, of course, is that you keep development out of those areas, and then the water from those lots has to trickle through those areas and partially away, and so you gain some treatment and value from that. So they did a lot fit there, which really just barely fit within that area. But it sounds like what they're trying to do is sort of improve the lot so that they could have a little bit more room. If the homeowner wanted to have maybe a patio or something behind that, maybe they could. These lots are so compact, though, that those buffers begin almost immediately behind the home. Except there are some of the lots, it happens that because the street is kind of right on a bend right there at that area, that wherever you have a bend, some of those lots, as you're going around that bend, are a little bit larger than the other lots. And so my comment here was, it doesn't really matter necessarily that the increased impervious runoff came from this lot or the lot next door. If they don't have enough room to provide a little mitigation for that little bit of impervious area that's going on the back, they might be able to say, hey, just let that bypass, and what we'll do is we'll provide increased mitigation for some runoff of impervious area on like the adjacent lot where we have a larger lot and we have more room to do it. And so I was just throwing that out there as an option to maybe provide some flexibility that there's some other ways that we could do mitigation there, and even if it's not on that exact same lot. And in this case, it usually wouldn't happen. Usually it's just one homeowner who comes in, they want to build a pool, they don't have the option of going somewhere else to do it. In this case, because the developer has all of those lots adjacent to them, potentially they have more flexibility there where they could do that on those lots. And really, it's not really to provide mitigation for all of the impervious area on the lot. Like I say, when they set the subdivision up, they've already taken into account a certain amount of impervious area on the lot already. So it's really just because they want to encroach into that area, just provide that little extra measure that they might need on those lots. And if they don't have enough room on that one particular lot, or I think it was two actually, I believe it was 182 and 183. If they don't have enough room on those two lots, then they might be able to maybe do a smaller system on that lot and spread it onto the other lots, or just not do anything on those lots and do something on the other lots. So we could meet with the applicant and we could work something out there, I'm sure, on that if you wanted to give us the flexibility to do that and try to come to some resolution that would make them happy and let them do what they want to do, and also provide a little bit of additional mitigation just to overcome that little additional impervious that they're going to have. So
Mr. Heath, so that I don't know if I'll even be here by the time they build these houses, but I could see two houses coming in for variances to put a pool or a deck, maybe a pool stretching it, but a deck, a covered deck, a patio. I mean, we've seen all of that happen today. So what, I know they were talking about that one area that would be the preservation of like the green space so that it wouldn't have to go across other lots, which that might be a good idea, at least to have a green space somewhere and not have that covered. But what would you recommend so that in the future, when the people buy these houses and they want more, what would you recommend that could be placed on, that the builder would that we could place on this variance, so that we don't have to come back with somebody that's built it and then we've have to ask them to remove it?
Right. I believe, and I would have to check, but when I've driven past, I believe this site is actively under construction now. And I don't believe they've reached the stage of yet submitting their final plat for the subdivision. And the way we would ordinarily do that is we would have some lot symbology that we would put on the lot that relates to a note on the plat, and that note calls out the requirements for that lot. And then that plat becomes a recorded document that any member of the public can find on the Superior Court site. So that's usually how we would do that. And that way, even if it's a builder in the future, if these builders don't build it, or if one lot maybe doesn't get built for a little while, that plat is still there. And when that lot comes in to be permitted, the way it works right now, folks over in community development will look at the plat when they come in to get their building permit, and they'll see that symbology that says, hey, you need to go talk to Stormwater about this, and then they'll come see us and we'll figure it out when we cross that bridge. But really the plat, because this kind of conditions are not terribly uncommon for lots and subdivisions, and so it's not uncommon if you look at plats that you see a lot of times we have a little star or some little symbol like that that we put on the lot, because we're trying to capture those kind of things, and that's probably the best way to do it.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Very.
Briefly, are you talking about putting a restriction on the plat to not allow swim pools in these two lots as a absolute restriction?
No, not necessarily. Not that they couldn't do that, but maybe what we would do is if we called out on the plat, for instance, on one of those lots, if they had to provide some sort of mitigation. Now, to be honest with you, I guess before I go too far with it, those lots 82 and 83, even if they increase that buffer or decrease the buffer by 10 feet, I think from 70 to 60, they're barely going to have room to turn around. So it'd be hard to see they could really come back with a pool. But that said, even if we did mitigation on some of the adjacent lots, it wouldn't be to necessarily restrict them, like say, hey, you can't build a pool or you can't do anything else. It would be more to quantify what's actually required on the lot to provide for what we're talking about today, this mitigation for these two lots where they want to infringe the buffer. And then in the future, if they had a lot in the subdivision that had the room where they could build a pool, then certainly we would just have to cross that bridge, when we came to it, because these lots are so compact, they might have to come back for another variance or something.
Well, if they build a pool anywhere, that's going to increase the amount of impervious, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yes.
All right. So are you suggesting it's still feasible to build a pool on these two lots when they're already having to go to the trouble to compensate elsewhere?
Well, probably for these two, I've seen people get very inventive with pools and just use whatever area they had to build them in. But I mean, for your normal kind of backyard pool, probably not. They're normally like 18 by 36, and that just wouldn't fit in that area. Now, that's not to say they couldn't have some kind of a pool or hot tub or patio or something. But I guess the point I was getting at is on the plat, I don't think I would just say, hey, you can't do anything else on the lot. But I would more quantify about what's on the lot, what they had to do in order to meet this current condition. And these two lots, honestly, and you raise a good point, they're going to be a challenge to really do anything really extra beyond this. But if they wanted to, I guess we'd have to cross that bridge with them in the future, unless you just wanted to just rule it out.
I would, but I want to hear from you. What language would you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if that's the direction you wanted to go with it, lots 182 and 83, if you wanted to, put some restriction where that limited that, and they weren't able to do that any further. I don't know, and I'm just trying to think if we.
I think, Mr. Heath, like, if there is if on the final plat there is a note that anything that is to go into the backyard, that would be a covered porch, that would be a patio, that would be a small little pool, there's a note on there that stormwater management has to be contacted. This isn't something that, I think a lot of people buy these homes and they go in and they see my next door neighbor whose house is very much bigger than mine. Their backyard is very much bigger than mine. They got a pool, I can have a pool. They have a covered porch, I can have a covered porch. So I just think that if it was notated, then it would be something that the builder then could tell whatever real estate firm that would be selling these, that there is notation on these, and to please let, they should be able to then let the people who would be interested, that there's a notation on this. I'm just trying to think like what goes down further. I don't really have, and you said it very well. I don't really have a problem with what they're asking because of that preservation of green space. But I do have a problem with what I could foresee in the future coming forward to this board. And so is it sufficient enough to say in stipulations, is it sufficient enough to address Mr. Beloin's question? Is it sufficient enough to put on the stipulations that a final plat note be put on the recorded document of 182 and 183?
I think we could, yeah. If we,
Okay.
especially, if that's something, especially that you vote on today. I think ordinarily, I don't know that I would have the freedom, if you will, to just tell somebody you can't build a pool or something like that. But if, as a result of the variance, you just said, hey, no further impervious areas to be added to lot 182 or 183, certainly we could do that. That's much clearer.
No further variance should be added? Is that what you're saying? Is that the language you want?
Yeah, and really what I had originally requested in my comments, because they're kind of infringing, they're wanting to infringe into that buffer anyway. So I was asking to, right now, when they build the lot, to go ahead and provide some mitigation for that current amount of infringement. But then if I hear what you're saying, what the board's saying, is once you've done that, then that's it. We're not going beyond that. So for lot 182, 183, we're done on increasing impervious area.
Okay, yeah, I just want clear language so that we're not faced with a situation where somebody comes back here seeking, what do we call it? Grace instead of permission, after throwing, a patio or something in. And
Yeah, and based on our past experience, they'll probably just go ahead and build it. We'll be back here anyway.
Sometimes. Not necessarily the pool builders, but most everybody else, it seems like, right? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question for the applicant, if I could.
Sure, the applicant can come forward.
Yes, ma'am.
In light of what we're discussing with respect to these two lots, I do know that it is customary when asked by a potential buyer if a pool can be placed in the backyard. Is it possible for those two lots to have in their marketing material, in the education of those lots as they're being sold, should this be approved, that they be notified that they do not have access, or these lots are not permitted to have a pool, so that we can prevent, so that the buyer is aware of their restrictions of that lot, and also it would mitigate them coming in later to ask for a variance? Is that something that you're willing to do as a builder?
I know our sales folks are always educated, with certain lot criteria and challenges. We're always, I know, I don't work firsthand with our sales folks, but I do know they're educated on it, and what you can and can't do on your lot, and what you will need to get approval from, whether it's the HOA, whether it's Cobb County, or whoever. So I know they will be educated. That we do, just as part of our protocol, we do several meetings before we start building. I mean, we've already had probably 3 or 4 meetings with our department heads, with our company, going over details of this project, as we have with other projects. So I can tell you, Mrs. Massey, for sure that we will continue to educate our sales folks and make sure that they are relaying the correct information. Now, I can't speak on future property owners and what they do. You know, they're going to do what they want to do.
What I'm asking specifically, though, too, in addition to education of your staff, I'm asking also that for those 2 particular lots, that there is specific advertisement that speak to their inability to add a pool to those lots based on the lot, what we're discussing here today. I think that that's important for them to know, because a lot of times, I'm in real estate, so I've done this on both sides, and I've seen where people have purchased property and it's promised to them that they can do the world and the sun, moon, and stars, and they come to us after the fact. So it would be helpful.
Yes.
And I've actually gone to new build sites where they have also placed those restrictions and let you know what is buildable, what isn't. What I'm asking is if those conditions can be placed on those 2 properties so that the buyer is aware that they are unable to do those things.
Yes, ma'am. And one thing I thought of with Mr. Heath is, and I'll be glad to meet again with Mr. Heath. He's always been helpful to us in saying what we can and can't do. But one thing we could do to kind of flag those particular lots is place an RDP star on them, a residential drainage plan star. Again, I don't want to, you know, that's just something I would suggest to Mr. Heath. That residential drainage plan, again, it flags those 2 lots for future improvements, say on the back of the lots.
I know this is, could you bring up again the plat where then you showed the two homes, but then you also notated where you're willing to preserve a green space?
Yes, yes,
Could
ma'am. You want to put it on the screen?
Yes, please,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then you can describe it.
But it's not highlighted there, but yeah, go ahead. Okay, helps. So, Ms. Swanson, I believe you're asking about the 2,001 square feet that we're giving to the buffer, that we're saying that we're not going to disturb in any way?
Yes, so this.
Yes, ma'am, that's it.
So, I wanted to put in my stipulations the preservation of the green space, no development. So how would I be able to say with the identification of this, like C?
We would record that on the final plat. We would put that on the final plat, and it would be referenced exactly the way it is right there.
So that I could just put the preservation of green space recorded on the final plat as presented at the variance hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, as presented. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm ready to make my motion that we approve the reduction of the impervious stream buffer from the required 75 feet to 60 feet for the proposed lots of 182 and 183. And that I would like to add the following, that the preservation of the green space be recorded on the final plat as presented, which will have no development. Green space development is the same. the buffer needs to be stated, what they can and they cannot put into the backyard. And so the next stipulation will be the final plat. There will be note on the plat recorded, it'll be a recorded document of lot 182 and 183. And then the conditions placed on those lots.
Second.
And
Sorry.
can I ask a question? Mr. Johnson or Mr. Peterson, do I need to go any further with another stipulation, or is this like what the chairman was saying about that they need to note, they need to tell the people that are selling what these lots have restrictions on it? Do I make a notation, is that we make in a variance, or is that just something that hopefully that the developer will follow through with after the discussion today?
I think the direction from this board, if it approves it, you could certainly add that requirement since it relates to the variance request, to have notations on plats and or deed conveyances from the developer to the purchaser as to those restrictions. I think that could be in a stipulation because it relates directly to the request presented.
Okay. So we will put the next will be what Mr. Johnson said. Can we add that? So I don't have to repeat it?
Do you need it restated?
Do we need it restated, or you good? Because then I'll mess it up and have to change it again. Okay, so those are my conditions.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
A second
Discussion.
by,
Oh, there's discussion.
we have discussion,
There's
okay.
discussion.
Commissioner Benoit?
Yeah, so I don't think what I heard is adequate, because talk about preservation of green space to me relates to something other than lots 182 and 183, and it's not conspicuous and specific enough to alert the buyer, in my view, but you're the real estate broker, so I'm looking forward to your thoughts in that regard, but I would want something indicating very clearly further construction on lots 182 or 183 would be highly problematic or prohibited. Something very, very stern if we're not going to say no pool.
Well, I feel that with having these, that these conditions recorded on the final plat, and as far as like the green space is something that the developer is going to be doing, that's just mitigating where we are today. It has nothing to do with the two lots and who would be purchasing it. And if it's notated on these plats and deeds, that I think that we've pretty much make sure that these lots are not going to be very buildable in the backyard.
So my question remains, what's going to alert the person purchasing lots 182, 183 when they look at the plat that they're going to have a problem adding a pool or a patio or a addition to the back of their house?
So in the final plat, there would be a note on that plat as Mr. Heath stated that would be recorded on that plat. So the person would get the plat and there would be a recorded note that this is not a buildable space. We can't put on a plat, no pool, no deck, there's a variety of things. They're going to have to meet whatever the requirements are. Maybe they could build a patio. But they're going to have to come forward and, well, hopefully the developer or the person representing the property will have to come forward to discuss this, because they totally understand where we're going with this, to discuss this with the people who are purchasing it.
So I'm looking for the precise words that will go in the plat with respect to a note as to lots 182, 183. I haven't heard anything that I think is conspicuous or
Can
clear.
can you make something that you would approve on those?
If it were me, I'd say something like, any further construction on these lots would be problematic, and that it would likely create a impervious issue. But I don't know why we can't say no pool. I think that puts people on notice right there.
I really honestly think, based on what we've discussed, just in my experience, placing those notations on the plats is sufficient, especially because final approval has to be done by the county, which then will turn a different place of awareness. And the applicant has also agreed to inform the staff and inform the end users. The buyer will be informed when they're purchasing the lots of the restrictions on that lot. I believe that that is as much as we can accomplish.
So I can't get
Your button?
my button anymore, it's not working. Oh, there we go. So I'm not really interested in instructions to staff. I just want to know specifically what's going to be on what precise words are going on the plat to alert anybody looking at it that there could well be a problem with further construction, including a pool.
I think the buyer will be put on notice by what's on the plat.
What
And we
are
can
those
just-
precise words? That's what I'm asking. And I
county-
still haven't heard an answer that satisfies me at all. In
Mr.
5 minutes
Beline,
of
the
going around.
precise words is no pool, we got no pool, no backyard. We can't say that, because maybe they want to put like a little tiny jacuzzi or whatever that could fit. The thing is these are limited in what you can build. So if my next door neighbor, who has a bigger house than mine, has a huge gigantic pool, that is not something that I'm going to be able to have. There's a notation on that, and this notation is going to take it to the county to get approval for whatever they want to do there. It may be a pool, it may be a patio. I'm not going to list all the restrictions on the property. It'll depend on what that person comes into and requests from our stormwater department.
I think it's safe to, if I may, I think it's safe, I think we are both, we're here at the place where we both agree, we're just trying to figure out the best way to proceed forward with language that makes everybody comfortable. And I think, to Commissioner Swanson's point, she does not want to place limitations on an applicant that hasn't come forward with an application. What we do, though, is want to place limits on the lot that informs the buyer what they are purchasing and that there are limitations. With that being said, this specific language I'm sure the county can come up with. I think that they are capable of doing so. But at the same time, in our motion, we are able to specifically ask that these notations be placed in the plat, that final approval be made in accordance with those conditions, and that the applicant communicate those conditions prior to purchase.
What about further construction on these lots could be problematic and is subject to stormwater approval?
Mr. Peterson or Mr. Johnson, can you provide the language that Mr. Bloin is seeking that we could place on this? Your mic? Your mic? But let's just.
Going on with this thing.
Commissioner Swanson, this has been a very good discussion, very well thought out ideas and proposed conditions. What I would suggest is the board either just approve it subject to stormwater management comments or deny it.
So a caveat on there, like any further development on this lot is prohibited without county, without approval.
Well, there has to be a way out for a person to get due process. So, if we put that as a condition, then someone in 25 years would just come back and ask the board to amend that. So my advice to the board would just be either approve it subject to stormwater management comments or deny it.
All right. right, we have further discussion, I'm sure that is needed. If we could, let's take a comfort and convenience break just for a few moments. That way we can reset and we can think, and then we can come back and continue the discussion and hopefully come to a conclusion. So if we can take about a 15-minute break, come back at 3:35, that would be great. discussion on B57, so if we want to go ahead and pick up and continue where we left off.
So I'd like to change my whole entire motion. So I make a motion that we approve V57 with the following stipulations. The first one.
If we'll pause just one moment, I think there are some.
We had a previous motion and we had a
Oh,
second
so we
for
have to have
discussion. So
somebody-
either this needs to be a substitute motion or withdraw the preceding one and start over.
Withdraw.
So I make it, it's a substitute motion.
Fair.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we add the stipulation of the preservation of green space be recorded on the final plat. And the second is a note on plats 182 and 183 will state per V57 2026, mitigation for impervious buffer encroachment is required and further impervious area is not allowed on lots 182 and 183. That's my motion.
We have a motion for approval with stipulations. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Swanson. Call to question. And B57 passes with conditions 5-0. Next case, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Peterson?
Can we clarify those two conditions one more time, to make sure the clerk has them?
Sure.
Do you have them?
Clarify that.
The preservation of green space will be recorded on the final plat. There will be a note on on plat 183 and 182 and 183 per V57 2026. Mitigation for impervious buffer encroachment is required and further impervious area is not allowed on lots 182 and 183.
I'm sensing hesitation. Is there
Well,
comments or concerns?
And I'm in agreement with number one totally, and most of what number two is, but for the part, for the impervious surface, so it's prohibited for all the lot or for what on the lot?
For what?
The
It's
part of your
prohibited
motion
on
there
what?
in regarding the impervious surface prohibition, what's that relating to exactly?
He's asking what the prohibition,
So they, per this variance, they will have to come before they can, I guess I would have to meet with our stormwater management. So should I state meeting with the stormwater management to decide what they could place because there's an impervious surface area?
And what my concern is, Commissioner Swanson, is if you, that we don't prohibit them from building a house on a lot with a driveway. Because the way it sounded is, it might include that.
This would just be the back of the house, right?
I'm not sure.
So let's just scratch all of this. Let's start all over. And I would like to have Mr.
so let's amend, either withdraw your motion.
I will withdraw my motion.
They had a vote.
So, Madam
Can I
Chair,
have a second for the withdrawal of that motion?
we had a vote, so we're going to have to
Oh, yeah,
reconsider, move for something,
we did.
yeah, just amend something previously adopted.
Okay.
So we're going to have a motion to amend something previously adopted, reword the second stipulation, and then vote on that, and have a motion and a second.
Are you clear on that,
I would
Commissioner
like to
Swanson?
amend, would like to amend V57 that was previously adopted.
Can I have a second on that amendment? Second. Second by Commissioner Summer. Call to question.
So I would like to
And that
have,
passes 5-0 for the amendment.
thank
I
you.
apologize.
I would like to have Mr. Andrew Heath come forward, please.
Andrew Heath, Cobb Stormwater Management.
Hello, Mr. Heath. So all I would like to do is have the language for plat 182 and 183 so that, like you had stated, for V57 2026, which will be this variance, that the mitigation for the impervious buffer encroachment is required. Does this, and according to Mr. Peterson, does this create a problem for the whole entire lot because they will have to have driveways? Is there some way that you could bring this a little bit, rewrite it so it's specifically to what they do in that backyard? And I don't want to have, you can't have a pool, you can't have a deck, you can't, I just want it to be notated that there was a variance and that they need to come into the county to see what they can do. So can you help provide more of a structure than what I've tried and failed?
Yeah, if I understand Mr. Peterson's concern is that motion that you made, I guess it could be construed to say you can't build anything on the lot because you couldn't add any impervious area. So it might be such that you want to maybe add a phrase that says, after the CO is issued, so that way everything that's done up front would be under the review. You build everything you want to build up front under review, but then after that, after the CO on the home is issued, then we're set. We're done after that. And then that way we're telling them, we're not preventing them from building a home or building a driveway or anything like that on the lot. You're able to do that and fully build out the lot to its capability. But once that's done, then we're finished. We're not going to add any more impervious area to it. So it might be that we could keep that same language that you mentioned. And I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but maybe at the end of that, I think you were saying no additional impervious area for lots 182 and 183 after the certificate of occupancy is issued or something like that. And then that way.
Oh, so then it would be, per this variance, this mitigation for impervious buffer encroachment is required after the CO is issued. No further impervious area is allowed.
I think that's right, yes. And if you wanted to, I can understand the
But
desire.
I guess, I would, there's a thing we just deny it, but I'd like to work out something that could work that wouldn't get us into situations where we're coming back here and, being nice, allowing sometimes tremendous amount of impervious surface coverage. And now that before this is even built, I feel that there could be something that could prevent this from happening. And I'm sure that I'm not going to specify exactly what you can do, but when you say after the certificate of occupancy is issued, that doesn't necessarily mean that person's moved in, but they'd still want to do a patio or they want to do something else. And I know that the applicant, when they build this, they would probably put a nice little patio in the back. And then person moves in and they want to add to that. So I guess that's where I'm having the problem with coming up with the terminology that would do just what I said without having to just deny this whole thing.
Right. And, that's, I guess, a problem because you never have control over, what's going to happen in the future. And even if it were denied, someone could still come back there and build something behind it, even if it were denied, and they'd still come back to get a variance later. So that is a little bit of a difficult issue. I guess it's not uncommon that we have lots like this in a subdivision, maybe not this specific issue, where we have to come up with some wording like that. And it might be such that maybe rather than coming up with the specific wording now, maybe if the goals are to provide mitigation for that for that buffer encroachment now, and then prevent future impervious area be added later. Maybe just state those as goals, and then when the plat comes in, we can kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of wordsmith the note to be the way we want it later, you know, trying to adhere to those goals, if you're okay with that, rather than trying to, you know, maybe
So like really,
specifically.
so then it would probably be beneficial to just put a note on the plat of 182 and 183, notating that there is V57 2026 no conditions, but just per V57 2026 BZA zoning, or the BZA approval, or the BZA meeting. Where
Yeah, where
there's
you're
something in
basic-
BZA, there's something in our there's our notes in our stipulation.
Or you're kind of like in your stipulation, you're more like, the way I would look at it, you're more like stating your goals for the property, and then not necessarily having to come up with the exact wording. If you're uncomfortable with that, like where I was proposing, let's say like, hey, what if you said just after the CO? After the CO, really all the construction should be done. Now, that wouldn't prevent, as you say, it wouldn't prevent a homeowner from doing something else. But on the other hand, really nothing is. Even if it's denied, it's not going to prevent them from doing something on the lot either. So, but if you didn't want to try to tackle the exact verbiage of it, we could just kind of state it as a goal, and then when the final plat comes in, we could kind of work a little more collaboratively on a note. You know, if you wanted to do it that way, whatever makes you feel, you know, most secure.
So then we could put the note on the plat, per V57, mitigation, per V57 2026, mitigation for impervious buffer encroachment is required. Leave it at that.
You could do that.
And then they would, because it's directing that it
Yes,
goes to the correct department here.
yes.
So Mr. Bloin,
Okay, so I would definitely keep the language you already have in the first half of that Mr. Peterson approved, lend his seal of approval to regarding the note regarding we've already had to make compensation for an impervious encroachment as to this lot. And then I would perhaps indicate that any further impervious area, no further impervious areas could be added without both a further variance and without further stormwater compensation, something along those lines. It's a lot, but it puts them on notice as to what they're going to be up against, should they want to do something like that. And that's not a door closer, that's just telling them what they're up against.
And this is not a zoning case that is asking for an increased impervious surface, so I would say if they build this at a percentage that's below what's required by the code, that they should be able to come back in the future and add more up to their maximum limit.
I get your point. Do we know?
I'm comfortable with the verbiage that we just came up with, adding the certificate of occupancy, because that does address the build. And it also places the notation on the lot that if the buyer of that particular lot wants to make improvements after they purchase the property, then they would have to seek stormwater management assistance for further mitigation. So I'm comfortable with that comment, if you want to leave that in.
Yep, I am too, because it puts them on notice, these are unusual lots, and that's the point, that they're gonna have to do a little more than what's typical.
Is the motion still standing, or, the motion is still standing, do we have a second? What, I'm sorry, let me take a moment. Commissioner Swanson, we've had a lot of discussion back and forth, so so that the clerk is clear and we are clear, if you will now restate your motion so that we have a clear understanding of what it is, and then we can proceed forward.
to preserve, the preservation of green space recorded on the final plat is motion number 1. 2 is a notation on plats 182, on the plat of 182 and 183 per V57 2026, after CO is issued, after CO is issued, any further I don't even know what to say. I'm just, I made a motion and it's not working, and I just.
Any of our fellow commissioners want to take a stab at making a motion for? I can make the motion? Okay, sure, I'll try. Let's see here. So we make a motion to approve V57 with the following conditions. Condition 1 is that the landscaping buffer, green space be preserved and included in the final plan. 2, that no additional impervious mitigation is required after the COO is remitted to the applicant on lots 182 and 183. Also further stipulation that the applicant provide education to staff as well as in buyer prior to purchase of restrictions of lot.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Summer. Our call to question. All right, V57 passes 5-0 with those conditions. Mr. Peterson, can you please call our next case?
And before we move on to a new piece of business, the applicant for V13, Gary Bryant Gilmore, are you ready to proceed? Because we had tabled this one earlier in the meeting. Yes. All right, so let's have the applicant come back forward for V13, Gary Bryant Gilmore, and the board did hear this, and the board did table it so he could contact his developer regarding some potential conditions.
If you will, identify yourself. I think you're new to the podium, so if you will identify yourself for us, please.
Yes, absolutely. My name's Timothy Helms. I'm the architect for the owner. And Gary, can we pull up the drone footage? That'd be the best thing. So when we left, Commissioner Summerhour, could you remind us of the text message that you received during the meeting?
Sure. The homeowners do not have CCSD's consent.
And consent for what specifically?
That's all it says.
Okay. So I think what is being referred to in that text message is an encroachment agreement that was developed, and we can pass this around, between the homeowner's attorney and the school board's attorney. That agreement ended with the agreement not being signed. It has not been before the board yet. It would require a board vote before a signature on that. Before getting that signature, we wanted to come back today and in hopes of having the conversation about the variances, but this agreement is specifically to the development that's already on the lot. So we're talking about the pavers that are there and the landscaping. And so to that, the attorney of the owner emailed the homeowner this email, which states that the school board would not approve this letter until it was voted on, but they requested that the homeowner remove the pavement. And so that is why specifically the photo was showing that the homeowner was to remove the pavement, and the line was pulled showing the boundary of the property that the homeowner owns versus the school's property. And so those pavers were removed. And so I guess I would ask, in reference to the text message and this agreement that's not been signed, but also our email here, is that are we concerned about what is already there in the landscaping that has been done by the owner? Or are we concerned about the proposed proposed site plan and the variance request? And in addition to that, I'd like to share one more thing, if we could go back to the drone footage. The school board has placed a fence up on the property, and so may or may not be, we may need to go to the photo. And so the owner has just essentially landscaped up to the fence that the school board has put there, not past the school board's fence. So if the request is simply to not landscape the school board's land, that's acceptable to us. We can let that go. It can be the school board's property to maintain. But the proposed site plan does not go over the property. No hardscape, landscape, nothing on the proposed site plan goes over the school board's property. Yeah, so we can just see the fence in the far, if we zoom in, we're able to see the fence. So yeah, the fence is even beyond.
So if the yellow line delineates your property from the school board, why is the fence back there?
That's the school board's fence.
Did they just put it up?
No, it's been there for quite some time. It's actually around the retention pond, the fence is.
So it's to protect people from getting into the detention pond?
Correct.
I thought the fence you were talking about was to delineate your property or whoever's from the school board's property, and that's not the case.
No, that's not the case.
That's what I took from your initial
Yeah, I apologize.
remarks.
And could we look at the proposed site plan? I think it is helpful to look.
We can't open it, so I have no idea what's on it.
We have it here. Oh, how can we get that to you so you're able to open?
I have no idea. What
Okay.
you sent did not come through.
Yeah, we sent it in an attachment, but it gets bounced back, and then the link is the only way we're able to send. So this may be a better view of the proposed site plan, and if we could zoom into it, it would be very helpful, just the site plan. Because you can see the property lines here on the rear and to the side rear, and that's the property line itself being pulled. And then you can see our new impervious area are the pavers, the scattered paver, reduction of the scattered pavers, and then running our stormwater management underground to the cistern. So none of the new pavement encroaches on or over the property.
And the impervious calculated is based solely upon the property owned by your applicant?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. And just to add a little more context to that, when we last met with Mr. Heath, there was a previous variance that was approved. We found after doing the site plan with the impervious calculations that we're actually over that impervious. So what we are planning to do in alignment with Mr. Heath is actually capture everything over the impervious, allowed impervious. So we're not only capturing the new additional, we're capturing more than that, anything over the allowed impervious on the property.
Okay. All right, with this new plan that I've been able to review, I make a motion to approve and let y'all work it out with the BOE.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Russell. Call to question. All right, it passes 5-0.
Thank you so much. And I just ask, how can we share the plan to be able to be seen?
I don't know.
Mr. Peterson?
Just give that plan to the county clerk, and we'll give it to the Board of Zoning Appeals at our next work session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson, will you please call our next case?
Okay, next case is variance case V58, Morgan and Peggy McNeil. Request a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure, which is a proposed 625 square foot pool house, required 35 feet to 18 feet, adjacent to the southern property line in land lot 253 of the 20th district. Property is located at the terminus of Hazeltine Lane. There's one person here opposed, and the applicant is present. All those who would like to address the board either for or against this variance, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. If you will introduce yourself and then share what you have with us, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. My name's Rob Hosack. I'm here on behalf of Morgan and Peggy McNeil, requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure. In this case, as Mr. Peterson had mentioned, a 625 square foot pool house to the rear of his lot. I will inform the BZA, Madam Chair. I believe that Mr. Acord is here. I had a chance to visit with he and his wife during an intermission, and I think they need a little bit more time to maybe try to understand some things. I provided them with a large copy of the survey and also a rendering, a color rendering that provided some elevations. I'm happy to leave that with the clerk as well for the board just to have. But we're certainly not, they're going to be our neighbors. We certainly we don't want to try to rush anything. So if the board would see fit to that, I want to also give Mr. Acord a chance to come up and confirm that we're going to try to talk amongst ourselves in the next 30 days. But we would request that the board consider that so we can come back, hopefully with an agreement to present to the BZA at the June hearing, if that's acceptable, ma'am.
Thank you so much for sharing. This does reside in Commissioner Beloin's district, so I'll leave that decision to Commissioner Beloin to make.
I'm happy to make a motion to hold or continue whatever the county attorney tells me the right one is. At the end, if you could just take 1 minute and tell us what you think the objections are, and I'm going to ask the other gentleman the same thing, just so
Yes,
just
sir.
so I know.
I will. Thank you, Commissioner Beloin. I believe that there was a family member from Morgan's, Mr. McNeil's family that went over in an attempt to obtain a signature, and I think did not have a good rendering. And so in this gentleman's defense, I don't think he saw what we were trying to do. And so honestly, I think that's where the opposition came from and the concern. And like I said, I provided some direction to Mr. Morgan's architect. We've done some things we think will make a very nice addition and are there to protect he and his property. But we're certainly, if we needed to do a better job of getting a rendering to him, we should have done that, and we're happy to try to do it now because we want to make sure that we've exhausted all our resources, ma'am. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Would the opponent, would you like to, sir? Would you like to say anything else now, just to give us an idea, other than the fact you'd like to just see some good renderings? Is there anything else we can do to?
Well, my journey took me to absolutely.
If you will start by identifying yourself, please excuse me, but if you'll identify yourself first.
My name's Louis Acord. What else do you need?
Just basically, what concerns do you have?
The quick draw on the variance, if you follow what I'm saying. I have yet to find an attorney or anybody that will oppose a variance for Cobb County, so
Okay.
That's been kind of tough, not having any experts to draw data from.
Okay. Other than getting better plans, do you have other concerns that you're already aware of? Or are you just reserving those till you see some good renderings?
Well, the renderings are only part of it.
Okay. What else would you like?
Well, legally, can you do this?
Well, that's a question for this group, but generally. But I really can't comment on that further. This is just, I'm just asking you to put us on notice of anything you're already aware of that concerns you.
Well, I don't think my property value will be increased by letting this building be put in there.
Okay, well, we're on notice that you have a concern as to your property value then. And we'll get you, I'll make a motion now, and unless these folks disagree, we'll hold this for a month and give you a chance to get counsel and make any further objections you like. And
Do you have a council list?
I don't have one personally. There's an attorney in the back of the room though, and he's a good lawyer, and there's some others around, so they're out there. But let me just, Mr. Hozak's already agreed to get you some good plans and renderings to make sure you have an ability to develop an understanding of precisely what's requested. So I'll go ahead and give you that additional time and make that motion. Is there anything else you want us to know right now?
I just thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so my motion is that we, which one, counsel?
B58.
Yes. Brian, remind me again, hold or continue?
This would be a hold since we've
This-
actually had the
okay.
hearing.
So my motion is to hold V58 till next month.
We have a motion to hold. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barkley. Call to question. And the hold for V58 to next month's meeting is voted on 5-0. Our last case, Mr. Peterson.
Okay, our next and last case is variance case V62, Iglesia del Dios Vivo Columna y Apoyo de la Verdad La Luz del Mundo, Inc., who are requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for a church within a residential district from required 50 feet to 9 feet adjacent to the northern property line, 21 feet adjacent to the western property line, and 38 feet adjacent to the southern property line. And to number 2, waive the 50-foot landscape buffer required for a church within a residential district to the encroachment shown on the submitted site plan in land lot 701 of the 19th district. The property is located on the west side of Austell Road, north of Pear Road. The applicant was present, and there's 3 people here opposed. All those who'd like to address the board, either for or against, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good afternoon. As you come forward, I see that there are a few in support and opposition. You have a total of 10 minutes per side. If you will identify yourself and begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Joel Larkin. I'm with the firm Sams, Larkin and Huff in Marietta. I'm pleased to be here today on behalf of, and I'm going to pronounce the name of their church rather than the name of their company, Light of the World Church. This is a church that's been on this property since 1999. Previous to that, it was a Baptist church. So this building and this use has been at this location for as long as I can remember, and I've got a long memory. This is not an action that was the result of any code enforcement or any kind of litigious action or any adversarial action. This church went to the county to discuss making some possible improvements on the front of the property. And at that time, there was a discussion, as is often the case, about certain nonconformities that exist on the church, some of which are of uncertain origin and some of which are the result of the recent amendments to the Cobb County zoning ordinance that increased the size of the buffer. So what we have for you today is a request that you grant variances to allow the existing improvements to remain as they are. We're not asking for any permission or waiver to make any changes that would require any variances from the zoning ordinance. If in the future we determine we need that, obviously we would have to come back. I came here today on behalf of my law partner who went on vacation thinking this was on the consent agenda and was surprised to find opposition. And I appreciate the opportunity to hear from them, and hopefully I get a chance to respond. I did talk to them briefly outside, and as best I can tell, the concerns that they have are the kind of concerns neighbors have sometimes, but they don't relate to the variance request today. My understanding is there's some concerns about stormwater and some concerns maybe about how some of the activities that have occurred on the church and how they relate to the adjacent properties. I will note that, again, as I said, this is not the result of enforcement action. This client has made improvements on the property since they've owned it. They've obtained permits for those improvements. Cobb County is not a stranger to this site in that they've come out and inspected and issued approvals for those permits. So we were surprised to hear that there's stormwater concerns. Again, nothing we're going to do with this variance will change the stormwater situation. And as neighbors, we certainly intend to look into what we hear about stormwater. And to the extent we move forward with any other improvements, we would be required to nonetheless. So we're seeking your approval for the requested variances that allow things to remain as they are so that we will be in a position to make permit applications with the county and have them processed. And I'd like to reserve any remaining time. I do have two representatives of the church that are here to respond to questions and perhaps to the opposition statements. And with that, I'm happy to respond to any questions that you have.
Wonderful. If they're not going to present anything else, we'll hear from opposition.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll hear from opposition at this time. You guys have a total of 10 minutes. And if you will identify yourself when stepping to the podium.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Erin McCormick, and I am a neighbor that lives behind him, and Juan Silva is also a neighbor on the other side of me. So this is about stormwater, specifically about the buildings that they have built on their property. He mentioned that there was a church there since the 90s. That may be true, but the house that they built wasn't there, and all of the buildings they have built since then, they didn't have a permit to do. So they've done a lot of growth on that property. One in the cement behind the church, behind the house, they have built a funnel into the cement to purposefully channel water from their yard into my backyard. We have photos and videos if you'd like to see that as well. They've made no, they haven't done anything to prevent the water. They haven't built any, a retention pond. They haven't done a retaining wall. We've tried to work it out with them. I've called Cobb County before. They won't give me a reason why they won't do anything. So we've been dealing with this for 12 years. It's been horrendous. I've spent thousands of dollars trying to fix it. It's destroyed my landscaping, my fence, his landscaping, our shared fence. They built all these buildings on the property. The latest one that they built, that's the encroachment, it's built almost to the end of the hill. So there's only a couple of feet until it drops off. When it drops off, there's a valley between our houses, and there is no retaining wall. They have made no attempts to stop the rainwater. All of the construction trash, because there was no permit, the construction trash was thrown down the hill. It's in both of our yards. We have to clean it up all the time. The noise was almost unbearable. They started way before they were supposed to, especially on the weekends. They also built a blacktop for extra parking to the right of the house a few years ago without a permit. They took no measure for water control to control that erosion either. All of that water is all funneled into our backyards. That I don't see any gutters on the sides of the houses or the building they just built. And again, it's very close to where it drops off. So I'm not sure of the number of feet before it drops off, maybe 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's really close to the
It's
fence.
very close. I mean, it's right there. So with that brings a lot more noise pollution, garbage. They just throw everything down the hill. The children throw everything down the hill. I have to clean out my property at least once a week because of all the garbage. And again, it's the constant rainwater. And if we can show the video. You can see she zoomed in on the funnel. So that's the funnel that they built. It goes right through my fence is falling down. My 76-year-old father that lives in Illinois has had to come down here several times and spend thousands of dollars as well to get a bobcat, to put rock and cement down there to funnel the water. It has to go through his fence as well. Otherwise, our fences are going to fall down. And this was just in February. We've been dealing with this for 12 years, since I've moved here from Illinois. It's horrible. There's the funnel that they built intentionally to funnel water into my yard. And then we have other pictures from his yard where the water has to funnel under the fence and pools in his yard.
That's my backyard.
That's his backyard when it rains.
And it wasn't raining that hard today, and still a lot of water in there.
No,
Because
the
all
other
the
one?
parking lot, water comes through her backyard.
If you will step in from the mic and identify yourself, please.
I said, it wasn't raining that hard
St-
today.
Start by identifying yourself, please.
Oh, my name is Juan Silva.
Thank you.
So, you know, as you can see, I mean, that's what I have to live every time it rains. And this is not as bad as the kids. Sometimes they go, I mean, really high.
This was a light rain day. It's just getting worse and worse. The erosion, I have at least 3 feet under my fence that it's eroded away, and it just continues on and on and on. It's a constant maintenance issue. And now with the new building, they've built so close to the edge, there is no way they can put a retaining wall there. There's no way they can stop it. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
You all have 4 minutes and 50 seconds left. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before your time expires?
I don't think so.
I mean, I just, you know, wonder, you know, if they get all these permits to do all these buildings, I mean, how do they pass inspection with this stormwater? I mean, I know they mentioned that, you know, they got all the inspections done, but is anybody looking to this problem? That's my concern, because that's destroying our backyards.
Right, because before, you know, they didn't even get a permit to build that new building. They got it after the fact, right? All the other structures they've built on this property since I've lived there 12 years ago, they've gotten no permits. So especially with the blacktop that they built over, it's supposed to be for additional parking. There's no way to control the water. It's gonna erode away as well. The water, the mud, everything just comes down, and this is just part of it. That's it.
That's all I have.
Thank you so much. You
Thank
can
you.
have a seat.
Could you, before you go, give us your addresses?
I'm sorry.
Your addresses? I would just like that.
1336
Uh-huh.
Red Hill Road, and you're 1332 Red Hill Road.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This does reside in my district, so I'll begin the discussion. I'd actually love to start with stormwater. Please.
Hello, Andrew Heath, Cobb Stormwater Management.
Mr. Heath, it appears that we have a significant water issue at these properties, and I can certainly understand their concern. Can you speak to that and tell us what we can do to mitigate some of these issues, and where the responsibility of this lies, so that we can at least start there and then kind of work our way forward?
Right. Yeah, that was very interesting. I was glad to hear the individuals who spoke in opposition to it. I believe that the area primarily, which is where the little buildings are, is kind of along that north area of the site. But I believe that their residences are off that west side there. And this site where the church is, a lot of that area where the parking lot is, some of the buildings, things like that, is draining kind of back to the west. And I can't tell, I don't think the topography is on that GIS image, but there's kind of a swale in between. There you go. You might have to kind of zoom in on that little area in there a little bit, just immediately west, in that church property, There's kind of a swale in there that's sort of capturing runoff from the church property and kind of draining back to the north. And actually, you can kind of see up very near the top of that page, there's kind of a circular ring of contours, and that's actually a little detention pond that was really made for that subdivision, a little bit on the north side of that road, I think, up there. So that issue of that runoff there may not be driven so much by the little small detached buildings in that area, but it may be, I heard one of the applicants say that perhaps the church had added some parking or something like that in there. And I don't know about that, exactly when that was, or if any kind of stormwater mitigation was provided for it. But certainly, if you certainly add a parking lot and don't do anything to mitigate it, folks downstream could definitely see that. So I haven't actually been out to this site. I would like to meet with the applicants there and the opposition and just look at that situation and see what that is. And so, you know, if it pleases the board, I'll do that and check into that and follow back up with the board on that.
Wonderful. Does anyone else have any questions of stormwater? I'm ready to make my motion, but I'll wait until we have a full house back up here in just a moment. Does anyone else have any questions of stormwater and/or the applicant or opposition? Okay. Mr. Heath, thank you. Actually, no, I'm gonna make a motion that I think will satisfy everybody. Can I just, oh, here comes Commissioner Boulogne. First of all, thank you all for your patience, and I appreciate the information that the opposition shared. We would not have known any of the above, so thank you so much for the video. That really helps provide context. My motion will be to hold this case until next month so that the applicant and opposition can both meet with stormwater to come up with a comprehensive plan that will both satisfy opposition and the applicant is with respect to this significant water runoff they're experiencing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Summer. Our call to question. All right, the motion to hold V62 until next meeting has passed 5-0. All right, I think we have concluded our agenda. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I think we have a couple of housekeeping items to contend to. Have we had an opportunity to review our minutes? Do we have any questions or concerns regarding them? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barkley. Call to question. Our minutes have been approved 5-0, and if we can have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
And a second? Second by Commissioner Boulogne. Call to question. And we are adjourned. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. We appreciate you.